I assume by now that everyone in this room knows about the Fast and Furious scandal. Essentially, short version is the Obama Justice Department funneled 2,000 AK-47 style, 50 caliber rifle style weapons into Mexico, didn't tell the Mexican government about it, and then 2 of those weapons showed up at the murder scene of one of our Border Patrol agents. From the beginning, the administration has tried to cover up every aspect of this, down to the fact of the connection between the Border Patrol agent Brian Terry's murder being connected to this government program. This is something the media has decided to gloss over as well. The Inspector General report this time was allowed to be edited and looked at by all of the people involved in Fast and Furious, meaning people like Eric Holder and all of the people named in this report had a chance to take a look at it, comment on it, and ask for revisions and things that weren't factual in the report. This is something that didn't happen under the Bush administration. Christian Adams, who is a former DOJ attorney and whistleblower, wrote a good piece about this, and he said, look, I've worked under the Obama and the Bush Justice Departments, and there in no way was any opportunity during the Bush administration to be editing Inspector General reports that are supposed to be following the evidence and the facts where they lie. You had President Obama go on Univision yesterday, which was interesting because Jorge Ramos, who was asked about President Obama's involvement in Fast and Furious in the past, did the job that the regular mainstream media in America won't do and asked him some tough questions about Fast and Furious. In particular, don't you think that Eric Holder should be fired, whether he knew about this or not, whether it's incompetence or he lied about his involvement? And then President Obama lied. He straight up lied on Univision and said that Operation Fast and Furious was a Bush administration program. Well, considering Fast and Furious started in September and October of 2009, long after President Bush left the office, it's not a Bush administration program. And of course he would lie in front of a Hispanic audience on Univision because of course he needs their vote, and exposing a scandal that resulted in the cold-blooded murders of 400 plus Mexicans would be quite a problem for him. Well, it turns out that the Daily Caller, which has been doing some great work on this as well, Matthew Boyle in particular, did an expose and FOIA'd some emails between Tracy Schmaler and Media Matters. And it just so happens that the Department of Public Affairs at the Department of Justice is working with a left-wing, George Soros-funded media attack dog to smear journalists like myself, to smear whistleblowers like Christian Adams, and is working with Media Matters in the sense of telling them, hey, I don't like what I'm seeing on Fox News. Why don't you write a story about it? Why don't you investigate this reporter? That really goes to show where this Justice Department is. President Obama asserted executive privilege over these documents that the Inspector General has said should have been released to Congress. And he went on Univision yesterday and said, look, this was a low-level field operation, and Eric Holder knew nothing about it. Well, if that's the case, then why is the executive privilege from the President of the United States necessary in this case? He's either abusing his power, or there's more there with the White House that we don't know. And you go back to the testimony yesterday, and the Inspector General said it was impossible to get any information from the White House about their role in Fast and Furious. And the DOJ Inspector General report yesterday provided us with decent information, but it doesn't tell the whole story. They didn't talk to the White House. They couldn't get any information from them. Homeland Security and Janet Napolitano refused to provide an ICE agent who was working side by side with ATF on Fast and Furious. And a lot of the people involved in this lied to Congress, and I really don't expect them to tell their Inspector General the report or the truth when it comes to what their actions were. I don't think this president understands that government is only funded through the hard work of the American people. The Bank of Washington doesn't exist. It's the Bank of the American people. And in that case, they knew Solyndra was going to fail before they issued the loan. They issued the $500 million loan anyway. They went bankrupt. Taxpayers are out $500 million. They made excuses for it. And then there was another congressional fight when Congress subpoenaed the White House for information and emails about Solyndra, which shows that they're not very open, they're not transparent like the president promised he would be, and they think that they're above the law in the sense that they don't feel like they have to comply with congressional subpoenas like the rest of us do.